Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for August 8th, 2025. I'm Benji Fisher, sharing my screen and moderating. And also present are Ralph Kohler and Simo Helston. Thank you both for joining. And we left off last week discussing the recent comments on issue 3370326. So this is to refine the labels and descriptions for field types. And there are some useful screenshots in the issue summary. Um, I guess this is the before screenshot for the main selection page, and this is the after screenshot. And the most recent comment from Clayton, I think,
Yeah.
C.E. Dewey, or Clayton Dewey, suggested some changes, mostly to this page, I believe. And last week we talked about the reference, and I think we agreed to go back to something like the before field to reference other content instead of reference a content or configuration entity. Oh,
Mm.
and I guess we had suggested this change because it reference
Contains.
field. Go ahead.
We had if you go to reference and to the second step. Oop.
Um,
Oh, I meant in the interface.
so yeah, I don't yet have a window open.
Oh, as my screenshot. Sorry.
I can fix that in a moment. Um, so let's see. Open that link.
Sure, I quickly share my.
Sure.
Then you can use the URL. Do you share? I might already have some change. One sec. Crap. Uh,
Let me try again. This looks more promising. I can also share that with you.
okay. You're faster.
All right, don't need that tab. Um, so if I log in, and structure content types. Yeah, I've been working on the accessibility of these little expand buttons here. Content
Content types.
types. Create new field. And if I create a reference field,
Yeah, and the point we suggested last time was on the other description, add a parentheses at the end with content and configuration.
so not to mention it at all on this screen,
That I
but
was not sure anymore. How we, but I know for sure that is what I've written down is in parentheses content and configuration and adding it to the description here on other. Because before that, all the others content, taxonomy, and user are probably content.
okay, so let's see. I'm running just 11.x, so I'm not getting our suggested changes here. I think we have a screenshot. This is what we currently have. Um, no, that's the before. I want the after. Here we go.
1 second, I can do that. Oh, you also have the after, okay.
Okay, so yeah, adding to this text certainly seems reasonable. And then the question is, if we do that, um, sh should we go back to more or less the current text field to reference other content, even though that's technically incomplete, since it could be either content or config? Or should we stick with something like what we currently recommend, which does explicitly mention content and configuration?
I'm thinking that configuration might be a bit hard to grasp for a person who doesn't know how Drupal works, but would it be too wild to be able to reference content or components?
Oh, components is such an overused word. Um, configuration at least has the advantage that it is technically correct, although,
Yes.
as you say, it is confusing. I think that component is both confusing and not accurate. Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah.
Um, and instead of components, how about drop everything and just say and reference other entities and make the explanation on the next step where you basically see that it's content and as well content and configuration.
We generally try to avoid entity in the user interface, although we did recommend it here. Um,
A lot of the configuration we might want to reference is in the user interface. It's under structure. Well, not everything, but like we have fields, form modes, menus, blocks, views.
right. Most content entities are under the structure menu. Um, I guess content blocks are the main exception. Ah, Zoom windows getting in the way.
Content blocks, but are also listed under content.
Right. Not under structure.
Hmm.
I guess I'm leaning towards taking the suggestion from CE Dewey and going back to more or less what it says here. Not here. This is the before of the main selection screen. Field to reference other content. Um,
But we try to avoid field, so just reference other content.
yep. So that's, I'm leaning towards accepting that, and then also expanding this text and saying at this point that you can reference both content and configuration.
How about choose from all available content and configuration options on the next screen? That way a parentheses would be avoided.
Hmm. How about a second bullet point saying that any content or config entity can be referenced?
Content or configuration entity could be referenced. Yeah, that would be also fine. And that way we would also have not just a single bullet point, but like the other options also too.
Right. That's definitely a little prettier, although it's a secondary consideration.
Yeah. So on the first step, reference other content, and on the second step, add a second bullet point with any content or configuration entity could be referenced.
That's right.
Okay.
Simo, agree, disagree?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm just now getting confused about because these are not field types.
Which?
These are field presets. So it's the same form. So I'm thinking that like it doesn't really matter, but it feels like cheating. If you choose taxonomy term, you can choose taxonomy term and then reference user.
Oh, yeah. See, even if you choose one of the first three options, you can still change your mind and reference anything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this from from a code organization point of view, it's a bit of a mess, and this whole pre-configured options solution for reference fields is something I wish we could go
Mm.
back and change.
We could
Yeah.
add somewhere in the descriptions, we could add word shortcut so that these are shortcuts and other is like
Add a help text between the label field and the field type options.
yeah.
Say again?
A help text, I think adding a help text with what Simo said between the label and the choose field type.
Saying that no matter which option you choose, you can change your mind on the next screen.
Yeah.
Or maybe let's something like this like this is a list of shortcuts or something like that.
That's certainly true. It's accurate, but is it helpful? I mean, if I'm an unfamiliar user and I come to this and you give me this additional information, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah, it's only kind of a it could be well if you don't read it then it doesn't help, but if or remember it. But if you go to the configuration form and change a setting, and then if you assume that you are still doing something with taxonomies, even if you changed that selection, so it could be something like could be considered error prevention. Oh, not error prevention, but kind of helping to recover from errors, but it's not very effective. But so that you would know that you can kind of there is a possibility of changing that so on the next page. And it would also kind of be what instruct like a help if somebody chooses the wrong option and then kind of doesn't need to go back to update the field type or change the field type.
Okay, so you think it'll help avoid confusion in the situation where I choose taxonomy term.
Or maybe, yeah, or maybe choose content. Well,
Okay. And then I go here and I
and then
decide
you
for whatever reason to
here
change
maybe,
this.
yeah, maybe
Here,
you realize it's not like what is content is taxonomy term content, and then you kind of think like what is content. So here under content there is a taxonomy term, so it kind of makes sense that you choose content and then choose taxonomy term. So
go ahead, Ralph.
Just one addition in regard to what Simo said. That is just from my personal perspective. Usually when I'm in an interface and I don't know the background and I see I have the option, for example, taxonomy term, and I chose that and went ahead to that field settings page, then from my perspective, in my mind, I'm set to that decision and I'm not sure if it's okay to change it to something else. And to have some validation on that step before would probably a good thing. But also I'm thinking, also taking the perspective of now for someone unfamiliar with all the technicalities on that field storage page, would it be helpful also for every basically type of item to reference to add sort of a description, a bespoke one, to explain what is referenced there?
So the previous modal page.
No, on that page, basically, if you have, for example, taxonomy term selected, then you see basically a brief description underneath what taxonomy term refers to or what it's about. But there are also, it's more important probably for things in the context of configuration with something like contrib modules. I have Claro installed and I see Claro purpose and Claro service and what that is about and what is the benefit if I choose that. To have that or on basically a small help text or description underneath as soon as it is selected.
Okay,
It's out of scope for the issue, but just thought a bit further.
yeah, I agree that it's out of scope, and I also agree that it could be useful additional information. Um, Another idea that would also be out of scope. Would it help avoid the sort of confusion that Simo's worried about if if we removed this select list? So assuming that someone goes to reference, and by the way, I've switched to the merge request for this issue. Um, so if we select taxonomy and click continue, would it be better to remove this option entirely at this point?
I think so, and yeah, it would. And then I think one of the like concrete problems here is if you choose the field type here to be content. And then you are used to seeing that you have type of item to reference content. So this is what you see when you choose content. But then if somebody is used to seeing this form and knows that this is correct for content, but then they choose other, and then they see the same result. So there is a good chance they think that, oh, I chose the wrong one, I need to go back, because it is the same form from two options, and they don't want to choose content, but they want to choose other. And here it says content, so they see that they are on the same page. So it kind of looks like a bug. So you have two options that are exactly the same. And then they might start wondering, how can I get to other?
Okay, so let's open a follow-up issue to consider that change. Um, I can see that it could help to reduce confusion, but um, I think it deserves more discussion, and it's out of scope for the current issue. So should we make that a follow-up issue and also a follow-up issue to add additional information every time you select something here?
Um,
Go ahead.
Just two thoughts. Let's say for the predefined options like taxonomy term or content, in air quote hiding or not make that options changeable. So would it mean that basically the only option where the user is able to switch between those types would be if other would be selected?
Yeah.
And that would also the only context where basically that kind of description would be helpful. Because if someone is browsing through the different types of options and reading up what each option is for, then basically other would be the only way to change it. But the other point I think for those predefined, hiding the type, I'm not sure if it's a good idea. I wonder if it basically use a improved disabled select field, meaning at the moment when disabled, it's grayed out, hard to read, and not actionable. But one idea I've suggested several times now is try to avoid disabled fields entirely and make it basically some informational. So in the case of such a select field, have that outline, but remove basically the caret. That way that you communicate and type is already selected, but you're unable to select anything else, and that field type is fixed to basically the type of item to reference to, in that case, taxonomy term.
Right, and all of that can be discussed on the follow-up issue.
Yeah.
But I think the idea is that once you've chosen taxonomy term, you can't change it. And then whether it's an information field or a disabled form field can be discussed. I agree, disabled form field is usually something we avoid.
Yeah. And there is also kind of it's for an experienced user a bit far-fetched, but someone who is not so familiar with web maybe wouldn't be building these, but maybe you choose from type of item to reference, change it to something else here, and then instead of clicking save to apply it, then you can like change the type of item to reference, and then you would click change field type in order to apply that change. So there is also that possibility of confusion. Not very likely, but something that would make sense for somebody who doesn't know how Drupal works or not very used to this kind of
Oh, so
content systems.
you think there's potential for confusion between these two form
Yeah.
controls?
Yeah, so you can select the option and then click change field type in order to apply the change.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I didn't want taxonomy term, I wanted media, and now I have to confirm that choice. And what happened?
yeah,
Okay.
Because if you only skim and you see just type in the field label as well as type in the button label, that could be a shortcut. Yeah. Potentially correct.
Okay, so definitely worth further discussion in its own issue. Um, at least the language here, change field type, doesn't really overlap with the label here, so that reduces the chance of that particular confusion. But I
yeah,
can still see that people might think that's what it does.
But if you only skim and the brain is for some people is filtering out other aspects of those labels and it reduces down to just type, then still the odds are there.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the word type is definitely present in both.
yeah, especially since we chose taxonomy on the previous page.
Yeah.
So for others, it wouldn't be so much, but for content taxonomy and user.
Okay.
And of course, what we we should never forget, less is more. And if we have one fewer form control on this page, then that's generally a good thing. So that seems like it's definitely worth considering. So let's see, what was the next suggestion? Um, Number. They want to simplify it to numeric value, and I think I argued against that last week.
Yeah. There we agreed on a no fix because at the moment numeric value would be basically an explanation what number means.
Right. And then file upload. I think we agreed that what we have is confusing. Upload any type of file. And what we currently have is create media type with the ability to upload assets, which is very confusing. Um, so did we agree to go with their suggestion?
Yeah, revert back to the before description was the consensus.
Okay.
And the last one?
Link. Store a URL with an output text option. Oh yes, I didn't like that idea. So it currently says store URL, choose if link text is allowed and what type of link. Um, which maybe is more information than we need. Um, oh, I hate this. Pretty sure we have an issue somewhere that if this is the only thing you're setting, then it should be handled on the next
No,
form.
no, there is an issue. No, not only for that, but we have an issue for generally moving basically the label on the second step to the field settings. because people always forget to fill it out.
Yes. Um, so do we have to tell people that these are options that they'll be able to select when they get here, or is that more information than they need at this point? Again, less is more. Boolean is true or false value. Link, store URL.
How about internal links? Do we have those still? Could it be just a path?
Yes, it could be an internal link, and I guess that's the argument for having something more complex here. That if you just say store URL, then people might not realize that it could be an internal link with just a path.
Does it do some validation?
At what point?
So I think it would be useful to know that like you can put a link in plain text field, but then link does it do validation for the link target? So for internal links, in some cases that it checks, like sites check that if that link exists or if the link is valid. So
Yeah, and definitely depending on what you choose here,
yeah,
it does different validation. So if you choose external links only, then it requires a full URL. If you have internal links only, then it validates the path. Um, so I guess the important information at this point is to know that the link could be internal or external, and it's more than a URL. It it can include the text for the link as well as the URL. And I guess that's what we're trying to get across here. Um, so let's see, let me go back to the issue just so I'll have a text field where I can type something. How about something like store a URL or internal path? Is path too technical? Um, Optionally store link text. Would something like that be an improvement? Is it more accurate, more clear? Is it the information that people need to know at this point?
The only problem, we don't use periods in all the other descriptions.
So I can't select that text. I suppose if I use my browser tools, I can select the text. For comparison. Um,
it would be with optional link text, and then we don't need the full stop. So it can be use the same style with the others.
is that getting closer? So I think URL or internal path, in my opinion, is an improvement over what type of link. And that's different ways of getting at the same idea. It's still a little awkward, but I think it's
Or
more. Go ahead.
oh no, forget. Sorry, I was too hasty.
Yeah, I think what I've suggested in this first line is more accurate, and I think it's more helpful.
Yeah.
Can we
Yeah.
can we edit it down a little bit?
Well, we can take away the second store.
That makes it a little bit shorter, but maybe at the expense of being a little less clear.
Would reverting the second part, changing the order an option, meaning a URL or eternal path with an optional link text? Or with optional link text, yeah.
That looks pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
A URL or internal path with optional link text. Okay. I will make the updates.
And was that the last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, was a good decision to revisit it because in particular the last description we haven't had time really the last time, and I think it was worth it today.
Yep. Okay, we have 10 or 15 minutes left. I'm inclined to end the meeting early if that's okay with you, but if
Yeah,
there's something else you'd like to talk about, we could do that too.
I don't have anything.
Yeah. I'm fine with ending early.
Okay.
Yep. Okie doke.
Okay, thanks again for coming. And I'll be here next week, but the following week I'll be on vacation. So
Okay.
hope to see you next week.
Yep.
Yeah.
See you next week. Bye bye.
Bye. Have
Bye.
a good weekend.
Likewise.
Yeah.